Good evening, rather good night for some of you, or good day for some of you. I'm wishing you all the best for the last week and for the coming weeks. Chris Lee here. This is my travel channel. I'm glad today I'm going to share with you another new nations, a great nations in the West Asia. Okay, the nation that I'm going to share with today is Iran. While preparing the travelogue for Iran, we realized actually it's going to contain at least 12 episodes. And for this reason, I decided to break the Iran's travelogues into two main sections. As a season 1, we cover 6 of them, and season 2 will cover another 6 of them. So today I'm going to share with you half of my travelogues to Iran. And before we go further on Iran, and I wish to bring you more info relating to background, geographical and historical background of this nation. Now you look at the map, the Iran is located right at the center of the maps, and he was surrounded by many nations. And this is the provincial map of Iran, and you can see that the province on the eastern side are in the largest area compared to a province on the northern eastern part are a smaller one, because the eastern part of Iran are mainly desert zone, so the inhabitants there are much less. Here is actually the showing you the road and rail maps of Iran, and you can see that similarly the road networks and the rail networks are more dense in the center and the northern as well the eastern Iran as compared those western Iran as compared to the eastern and southern Iran. So this is the routes taken by us when we traveled to Iran in the year 2017 in the month of March. And you can see that our journey is started off from Tehran. At the same time, we took a domestic flight from Tehran to Sharif, right, a city almost near to the central southern part of Iran, and from there, or by road all the way eastward, finally we go back to Tehran before you fly back to our home country. So Tehran is shown in this map almost near to the northernmost of the Iran. And today I'm going to share with you more on the custom and traditions of Iran, and we're going to cover 4 main areas. First of all is Iranian New Year. It happened to be the Chinese in the whole world are celebrating their Lunar New Year. And we also take this opportunity to introduce you the Iranian New Year. Then the next one is the ancient engineering works in Iran during our visit. There is wind towers, Pigeon Tower, ice storage, ancient motel, Caravanserai. So today this will be the main topic I'm going to cover with you. And the HSCD tour and the place of interest of Iran will only continue next week. Please stay tuned. So when we visit to Iran, this is some of the very important facts that you get to know about Iran. Now, Iran officially are known as Islamic Republic of Iran since 1979. It's the second largest nation by land area in Western Asia and one of the world's most mountainous country with extremely rugged topographies, which is difficult to access. Most part of the country are above 460 meters above sea level, with 16% of the land area actually above 2,000 meters above sea level. Now, most of the land areas are under desert zone or plateau, and mostly consist of desert basins, salt lakes, particularly near to the eastern Iran. Although it is proclaimed as an Islamic republic, as the official Shah Islam nation of the world, it is an ethnically diverse and a multi-ethnic country due to its long-standing of 4,000 years of history. Now, the top 5 ethnic groups in Iran are Persian, Azeris, Kurds, Mazandaranis, Lur, and with many much more smaller ethnic groups you can find. Iran is the world's 17th most populous nation with close to 83 million inhabitants. That's in the year 2018. And with almost 3/4 of them live in urban area, mainly in the city area. Iran houses one of the world's oldest civilizations with extensive history of not less than 4,000 years. For this reason, Iran had owned 22 UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Sites, and the third largest in Asia in numbers, and 10th largest in number in the world as per in the year 2018. Now, before Safavid era, Iran was under the indigenous and foreign conquerors, right? And were basically the conquerors or immigrants such as Persian, Turkish, and Mongol until the rise of Safavid era or empire. The widely practiced Shia Islam took place during the Safavid era, that's in the 15th centuries, and ended in 1736. It is the turning point of Iran's Muslim history. Now, Persian language I refer to, we always commonly known as Farsi, is the predominant and official language of Iran, including numeric figures. Iran handicraft are the manifestations of art and culture of ancient civilization. So this is something you need to take note of. Now, another important area where you need to take note is actually the Iranian climates and weather if you plan to visit Iran. Now, generally, Iran, the northern and western part of Iran have 4 seasons, while the southern and eastern Iran have only 2 seasons, mainly because as the period of the spring and autumns are very, very short, right? And therefore is mild. We have a mild winter and of course a very hot summer. Now, winter is also the rainy season for Iran, with more than 50% of the annual precipitations occur during the period November till January. So now, our visit to Iran will happen before on 20th of March. And without knowing it, actually 20th of March on the year that we visit, it was the first day of the Iran New Year Day. Now, Iran New Year, they always known as Nowruz or Nowruz, right? Which in Persian means New Year. It is a spring festival celebrated by Iranian, right? And because it also symbolizes the first day of the spring. Now, each year, either on the 20th or 21st of March, mark the first day of Iranian solar calendars, right? And because of that, they also got known as Spring Festival to Iranian. We are not aware of our visit was exactly for on the first day, and therefore it came with a surprise. And I'm delighted we are able to celebrate Iranian New Year with the Iranians on that years. I'm going to share with you more about this Iranian New Year as we go by. Now, Iran, together with few nations in Central Asia, have officially recognized and observed the ceremonies of Nowruz. Alright? Interestingly, this is also celebrated in certain regions of southern Xinjiang, China as well. Now, in Iran, the first day of Nowruz start the 2-week celebration. Sorry, it's 2 weeks. That means you have a 14-day celebration for its New Year. The celebration includes 4-day gazetted public holidays, and that has been practiced for less than 3,000 years till the present time. On the 13th day of the New Year, which is called the Sida Badar, the Iranian will spend most of their time outdoor, usually in open park for festive picnics. They believe that by staying indoor on that day will bring them bad luck or bad omens to them. Right? So let's look at some image here. The image that I'm showing now here is a display. If we were to travel to Iran and during a New Year day, you can find that this display, something like that, was almost everywhere. It's not in the households, in the homes of the Iranian, in the shopping center, particularly at the main entrance area, hotel lobbies, museum, government offices, public office, private office. Almost everywhere they have these displays. I will share with you more about this display and what it consists of as we go along. Alright? Now, so these are the displays that we encounter. For example, this second display was more grand, more extravagant in nature, and this is actually found in hotel lobby. This also in hotel lobby. And therefore, as another thing that you also must bear in mind that during the New Year Day, you will find that there's somebody, right, will dress himself in red shirt, as shown in these pictures, and getting a face painted blacks, right? And this is also another traditions. But before I go into detail of that, I would like to share with you about what is actually the New Year is all about. Now, during the New Year period, the Iranian will usually display traditional New Year setting, which just I share with you, known as Hafsin, in their home or place of work. Hafsin is the display of 7 specific items, all with the name started with the alphabet S in Persian language. Although some of these items have been changed over time, but many of these 7 ingredients. First, subs or apple. Subs, green grass. 3, salt, vinegars. Samano, actually a meal made out of wheat. Sanjet, a special kind of berry. And 6, saki, koi. And 7, sheer garlic. Generally, these 7 types. If we go through the image just now, though it's a bit far away, you still can notice that the apple is appear, the grass is there, So, and on top of that, they also display books or noble books nearby, right? And even there, some are displayed even with a bowl of fish, live fish. So now let's look at this Iranian figure, Haji Firuz. Now Haji Firuz is actually a fictional characters in the Iranian folk tales who appear in street by the beginning of the New Year days, right? Their faces are coated with soot. I mean, that's why it looks black in color. That's why that the black color is the very typical characteristic of these Haji pharaohs, right? It's always clad in bright red clothing, right, and a felt hat. He danced through the street while singing and playing the tambourines and visiting from home to home. And therefore, during our visit in one of the restaurants, we're having our lunch, and these figures came in and celebrated with us together with the Iranian in the restaurant for the New Year's. This again is a very unique thing that we encounter in Iran during our visit. Now, then I want to share with you, for some of you are very seriously prepared to visit to Iran, I need to share with you some important things that you have to take notes. For Malaysians, visa is not required, right? Up to 14 days. That means you can stay within 14 days, no need to apply visa. But if you are more than 14 days, you can apply the visa when you landed at the airport, right? And you have to pay a fees. In the year 2017, we were told it's 10 euro. I'm not sure whether they've changed in the fare charge on these visa fees. And generally, communications could be a problem in Iran, as most of the Iranians can't speak foreign language, and they use Persian numeric figure for the display of price tag. And this numeric figure is entirely different. You can not the numeric figure that usually adopted and used widely in the world. The Roman numeric figure. And therefore, most shops, including tourist spots, are closed during our visit during this New Year Day. And unfortunately, quite a number of places, particularly some museum that we want to visit, was not open to tourists at the time. And during the New Year festival, New Year Day, within the 14 days, particularly the few days, the first 1 week itself, you find that a lot of shop is not opening. And on top of that, during the prayer day, the Friday, every Friday, they close for prayer at the shop, or those tourist attraction center could have closed for prayer time from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. with a total of about 3.5 hours off, for prayer. So this is something you have to bear in mind. Now let's talk about Iranian currency. Now, before we go to Iranian currency, please take notes. Because of due to economic sanctions for about 40 years, foreign bank credit card is hardly accepted in Iran. The local bank and money changers only accept either US dollars or euro. So you want to change the Iranian currency, you need to remember only two types of foreign currency you need to bring over there, as USD or euro. Now, Iranian currency is used in the unit of rial, R-I-A-L, rial. Alright? Denote offshore as IRR, denote. 1 Malaysian ringgit, just for comparison, is approximately equivalent to about 10,000 rial. Within Iran, the Iranian also adopted a superficial unit of currency known as Torman, right? Currently, 1 Torman is equal to 10 rial. And this currency unit is widely used in the trading. Hence, it's important to make sure that the price tag figure displayed in the shopping mall or in the traders, by the trader, is referring to rial or Torman. Particularly when you go to a restaurant, you find out a dish that displays the price tag 10,000, but they didn't tell you it's rial or Torman. So you may thought it's rial, cheap. You go and eat. When pay the bill at the time, it tell you that it's Torman. You pay 10 times more. The figure that you look at it, where you assume is rial, because a Torman is 10 times riyal, right? So this is something you had to bear in mind when you go to Iran. Unofficially, latest piece of news, the Iranian government is considering changing their official currency unit from riyal to tomans in a very near future. Nothing confirmed yet. The new one toman is equal to 1,000 existing riyal. If this is succeeded in implementing, then 1 RM or ringgit will be equivalent to 1 new tomans approximately, right? So this is something that's not certain yet, as what I get to know unofficially. So you look at the figure, you can see the currency notes here is 10,000. 100,000. 100,000 will mean that is actually, as I mentioned earlier, 10,000 is equivalent to 1 ringgit. So 100,000 equal to 10 ringgits. Now, Iran numeric figure. Now, this is a chart I'll try to explain to you that why we have problem when we first landed in Iran, when we do our shopping. We hardly can understand and read any of these numeric figures, the price tag displays, nor we can communicate with them. They can't speak English, and at the same time, they can only speak Persian or the local language, and we are not able to understand at all a single words. And worse still, even numeric figures are completely different, and as shown in this chart. So please remember, if you want to do shopping in Iran, please understand the numeric figures, and also make sure understand whether it's riyal or toman before you make the purchase. Okay, let's move on to some of the ancient engineering masterpiece. If you go to Iran, you can find one very unique structures that tower looks, right, and was appear in certain part of Iran, particularly in desert area, desert zone. And this is called wind tower. Now the wind tower is a traditional architectural element and ancient engineering used to create natural ventilations and passive cooling in the buildings. The local call them bedgear. It's built in various shapes, size, and design. The wind catchment direction can be either unidirectional, bidirectional, or multi-directional type. Now, these wind tower structures are common in Yazd city of Iran and the surrounding regions due to its extremely hot weather during the summer. Wind tower is a common sight in central and southern Iran, particularly in Kerman and Yazd provinces. In the city of Yazd and Kerman, near Khasan and Mebot are the best spot to view these magnificent wind towers that come in many forms and shapes. And I want to share with you all the wind tower. Now in this picture you see that this wind tower is in octagonal in shape. And in this one is rectangular or square. And it could be bidirectional or multi-directional. In this case, it's more bidirectional. And this is also in square wind towers. And this is quite a long rectangular wind tower. This is another one. Some of these wind towers are erected right next to the ice storage area, helping to cool down the weather, the climate or temperature around the ice storage area. So you can see that this is actually the ice towers and mailboards, and you can see the wind tower was just located right next to it. This is another one. And at night, some certain part of the old district, city district area, this wind tower have been lighted up. It gives quite a nice, impressive night view to the visitor. Okay, now we go to another very important engineering piece of work that is actually the yak chai. We'll call it underground storage chamber. Now, yak chai is an ancient type of subterranean storage chambers in the form of evaporative cooler, which have more than 2,000 years of history. Its above ground structure usually look like a gigantic conical structures. In this case, this is very unique. It's much more than that, right? The main function of a yak chai are used for the storage of ice obtained during the winter months, as well as to preserve perishable food that's stored inside the chamber during the hot weather, during summer in this case. In order to prevent the melting of this ice rapidly, right, the entire structure is built of good traditional form of insulation material obtained from the nature. Now, the evaporative process, the melting of the ice, create a cooling effect in the storage chamber. And the most well-preserved and popular yak chai is located in Maybot, as you seen in this picture, next to Narim Castle, which was built a few centuries ago. So, but happened to be we did not visit this internally of this ice storage chambers. We just passed by. But anyway, I managed to capture the external view of this ice storage underground chamber. So these are the images show that of this ice storage chamber. The size vary, but generally it could be some even can have high as about 5 meter to 8 meter. You know, the big one. But generally, what we found, most of it about 5 meter in height, generally. And the next one is actually very interesting. Is this called Pigeon Tower? The Pigeon Towers, by the name Pigeon Tower, you know very well, it's built for the purpose for the pigeon to stay. Now let's talk about what is Pigeon Tower. Now, an ancient building structure built for the purpose of housing pigeon, so as to serve few purposes, namely the collection of the eggs, the guano, right, for use as fertilizers, and pigeon to act as a messenger. Now, the Pigeon Tower in the Ardakan town in Yak province is one of the most well-preserved structure, which was built to house 4,000 birds. It was built during the Safavid era, exactly what you see in this image. And again, we did not enter and visit this Pigeon Tower. But if you go to internet and search for it, you should be able to have some of the visitor did visit this interior part of this Pigeon Tower. And you can see there are a lot of pigeon holes. They're built around the circular wall, and there are spiral staircase to lead it up all the way up. And as far as concerned, inside is well ventilated and allow the pigeon to stay comfortably, and they are lighted up very beautifully for the visitor to visit. So please go to internet and search for this Pigeon Tower in Iran. Now, another important, this is some of the image. You can see that this is the Pigeon Tower, the top portion of it. You can see the small little hole actually there's for the pigeon to fly in and out to this Pigeon Tower. This is a closer view. Then we go to another very important engineering masterpiece. It's not only just confined to Iran, but also in Central Asia. It's called Caravanserai. And to me, I like to refer it as an ancient motel. Now, a caravanserai is a traditional stopover and place of accommodation with other amenity built along the ancient sail routes or trade routes in the past for the need of merchants, right? And also to provide stabling for merchants' animals. Because in the ancient times, the means of transport are by means of camels, right? So most of it are camels because in desert zone, and this camel need a place to rest as well. Now, caravanserai have been in existence since the 10th century, and there is a Seljuk era in Central Asia. That means is more or less have close to 1,100 years old of history. Now, a complete setup of a caravanserai will usually contain rooms for resting, or you usually call it bedrooms, for a bathhouse, a well, or an underground water source. Right? At the same time, you could possibly have ice storage space, this for more established one, a courtyard, and a place for keeping the animals, mainly camel, of the merchants. Now, caravanserai can be in any shape and size, but most commonly found are either circular or rectangular type, right? Now, typically the courtyard was located at the centralmost position and surrounded by the rooms, the depot, the bathhouse, all form the surrounding, right? Now, the merchants' animals are housed separately at designated location outside the building compound, and the room have only window open inward facing the courtyard, while the externally is no window at all. And when this house was surrounding the courtyard, the external wall of the rooms or bedrooms form the perimeter wall of the caravanserais. And this is in turn is a form of defense, act as a defense, so that any intruder, they can't enter the caravanserai except through a designated entrance, right? So it's considered a take care of the safety of the occupants during the ancient time. It's just like a fortress, caravanserai. Now in Iran, many of these well-preserved caravanserai could be located in most desert cities, located along the ancient trading routes, or we used to call it sail routes, such as Maybot, Neon, Yacht, and Kermans. So let's look at some of the caravanserai. And the picture you see now is one of the quite rare-off caravanserais. You can see that basically it's no longer in use and was in one of the on the way when we are on the way traveling in the central Iran. This is another caravanserai nearby, and interestingly, the herdsmen are actually using this to contain their animals, the sheep. They rear the sheep inside, or the horse, or the camel inside, become the herding compound. So this is actually a well-kept caravanserai next to the earlier caravanserai. In fact, during the visit, they all together have 3 caravanserai side by side, and this is the most well-preserved one. I believe inside it is actually occupied by inhabitants. Just look at the architectures, the decoration on the surface, on the wall of this caravanserai. And this is an entrance gate to the caravanserai. It's very similar to a fortress from the way I look at it itself. They even have towers at 4 corners. Some even have more. This is all the lookout tower. And this is a picture taken when we enter to one of the Caravanserai, which is no longer used for people living, but more for animals. You can see that some of the animals are outside the Caravanserai. And this is actually another Caravanserai and Maybot, and this basically had turned into not only a tourist spot, but actually also it's become a rest house, for visitor. You can see at the center portion, there's something look like semi-sunken buildings. In fact, below it is a bathhouse. And you can see the buildings, the rooms, the circulating all around. Right? In this Caravanserai happened to be a rectangular in shape, and you can see all the rooms are all around the four sides. So some of these rooms have now become a shop, selling antique shop for the visitor. And when we enter to this semi-sunken building at the center of the courtyard, this is a passageway you had to go through. And when you landed at the center portion of this building, you look at the roof itself. They have actually opening to give as a skylight to allow the daylight can be entered to this bathtub area or bathroom or bathhouse. Yeah. So you can see that this is exactly how it look like at the center portion of this bathhouse. The water is actually underground water, and it always fill up full and was channeled to this bathhouse. So anytime you have water for bathing, and also the water can be used for other purposes. This is a typical beautiful architecture, Iranian architecture. And you can see that this is Caravanserai is very beautiful, and you can see the brickworks, the fair face brickworks we used to call, and it's so beautiful line up to form patterns. And this is actually the entrance door, the designated entrance door to this Caravanserai. So this is another Caravanserai. It's actually now is a hotel, and when you enter, this Caravanserai is in circular in shape, as compared with just now the earlier image. You can see that right at the center of the courtyard, again they similarly have structures, and you can see the top of the structure. Actually, this is underground. They have underground structures, and basically the bathhouse is right below, and you can see the ventilation holes that appear on the protruding part of this courtyard. And generally, you can see that they provide shading all around, but they still maintain quite an open air, open space at the courtyard. That's mainly for the purpose of ventilations. And this is actually the staircase leading to the underground chambers. And when we went up to the roof, this Caravanserai actually have a flat roof. So we went up to the flat roof. This, they actually look around the flat roof area. You can see them sit some sitting place was built along the perimeter wall. This is actually the open space at the central courtyard area. Well, the room's roof is a flat roof, and in order to encourage the cooling effect of the room itself, there are actually built-in, well built-in natural ventilation system to allow the hot air to be discharged at the roof level. So you can see a lot of these ventilation outlets built on roof at strategic locations. Right, so you can see these are the interesting place, the structure they have built up, and you can see that they have actually, I presume this below it, it could be also, what should I say, could be a kitchen or a depot, you know. They need ventilation. At the same time, they also have storage space for storage of food. This is a seat that's built along the perimeter wall, and during the night, you know, because the weather in desert is quite hot during the day, and the night is a bit cooling, so the hotel guests can sit here by putting a rack on it, alright, or carpet on it, and sit on it, and then enjoy the night view and having a nice drinks over this rooftop. And as I said earlier, animals are not allowed to stay inside the building compound, so outside the building compound they have a designated place for the animals to stay. And of course nowadays this Caravanserai is no longer cater for that anymore, and there's no animal anyway, alright, because the modern day is only have vehicle, so now it turned into a parking lot. And this is a view of the surrounding around this Caravanserai. You can see that it's completely a desert zone, and you see hardly can see any tree. So imagine during the day it can be extremely hot, particularly during the noontime. These are the sum of trees you managed to find. Most deserted type of place, a desert zone. Okay, so this is the sharing I have with you today for Iran, more toward the tradition, the costume, the cultures, and also some ancient engineering masterpiece. And please stay tuned. If you like my channel, please subscribe, like, and share, right, to your friends, so that they can enjoy the virtual tour of the world like you, right, at the comfort of your home. And in the coming weeks, the coming Saturdays, I will then bring you to a very important city in Iran. It's actually Tehran, to share with you some place of interest. But meanwhile, as this is actually during the Chinese Lunar New Year periods, and I want to wish all the Chinese friends a happy Chinese New Year, or rather say healthy, blissful Chinese New Year. And to all my friends in the world, I wish you best of luck, and see you again next year, and hope, right, we will see again for the subsequent 5 episodes on Iran before I turn on to another new nations. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay in good health. That's all my wishes for this coming Lunar Chinese New Year to all my friends, photographers of the world. Thank you very much. Bye. See you again.